Kia ora. This is John Winter's Supermarket Sleuth talking to you once again from New Zealand. And what are we talking about this week? The latest pattern in supermarket shopping in the UK. In this new lockdown in the UK, there's not been the significant rise for demand for food in supermarkets seen in the March lockdown, says Kantar. Total take-home grocery sales rose by 9.3% during the 12 weeks to the 1st of November, with growth edging up to 9.4% in the most recent 4-week period. Wales saw a slight pickup in sales growth, up 15% in the last month, as shopper habits were affected by the strict firebreak lockdown. Kantar said early evidence suggesting consumers in England are confident about getting essentials during the new lockdown despite the restrictions impinging on festive shopping. Sales of premium own-label products were up by £56 million over the last month. The category usually hits its peak in December, suggesting that Christmas shopping is taking place earlier than normal. Frozen food, which has been much in demand since the beginning of the pandemic, remains popular, says Kantar, with sales rising by 14% in the latest 12 weeks. Iceland has benefited the most from the trend, helping to grow its market share to 2.3% from 2.1% last year. The retailer's sales are up by 17.9% over the period, with shoppers also spending more in Iceland's chilled and ambient aisles. The average spend per trip at Iceland was worth 44% more than in 2019, the greatest increase of any retailer. For online grocery services, Ocado was again the fastest growing retailer, with sales up by 38.1%. Surprisingly, Waitrose grew ahead of the market by 10.6%, its share rising for the first time since 2017 to 5.1%. It increased its online sales faster than any other grocer this period. Excuse me. Morrison's led the Big Four, growing sales by 11.4% and increasing its share for the 5th month in a row. It now accounts for 10.2% of sales, helped by its The Best Premium own-label brand. That grew by 42%. Sainsbury's sales rose by 7.6% this period, and its market share currently sits at 15.3%. The retailer recently said it would permanently close its fresh food counters. This move reflects a market-wide drop-off in the number of people using in-store butchers, delis and fishmongers. So they're either buying it online or else they're going to the little original fishmongers and butchers that still exist. Asda's performance stayed poor compared to its rivals, with sales increasing by 5%. Tesco, which grew by 9.1%, maintained its share at 27% and had success through both physical and online sales. Lidl is still the best performing discounter, with its growth accelerating to 12.5% and market share up to 6.1%. Aldi's sales rose by only 6.6% and its share fell slightly to 7.8%. Co-op increased sales by 8.6%, but its market share dipped to 6.4%. Kantar's data showed that grocery inflation stood at 1.9% for the 12-week period, with prices rising fastest in categories such as canned, cola, ice cream and sausages, while falling in vegetables, bread and rice and noodles. With Sainsbury's planning to permanently close all its meat, fish and deli counters, Waitrose has vowed to keep its own open and launch virtual versions online next year. Waitrose said that it wanted to reassure its suppliers and customers about its own fresh food counters. Jackie Wharton, Director of Category Proposition at Waitrose, said the counters offered not only the freshest produce but something, in her words, special, personalised and more sustainable. She says Waitrose service counters are a key reason why many people shop there. The premium level retailer has meat and fish counters in more than 270 stores and deli and cheese counters in almost 250. There have been new lines launched across its counters since April, and several more lines are planned between now and Christmas. Turning to Sainsbury's, it plans to refocus on its core food business. Chief Executive Simon Roberts said he wanted the chain to become Britain's favourite supermarkets. Those are his words. He told media and analysts that the supermarket needed to adapt faster to changing customer habits. This would mean it's simplifying its business to focus on improving quality and value for customers. Roberts also wants to speed up food innovation and further grow its online grocery and convenience store businesses. He added, "By focusing on food, which is our absolute strength and where our heritage lies, we can and should be Britain's favourite supermarket, and that is where I want us to get to." But Roberts said Sainsbury's wasn't currently the top supermarket, and because it had been going wrong, in his words, but that there had been a fundamental change in how people shop. So it hadn't been going wrong, there's a fundamental change in how people shop, with particular reference to the shift towards online shopping. He admitted it had not been as competitive as it could have been on price. Perceptions of the value it offers had slipped. To rectify this, the supermarket has already lowered the cost of thousands of items and improved the quality of some lines. The supermarket's aim with innovation is to increase speed to market by 30% and triple new product launches. Roberts is also said to be mulling over the sale of its banking unit due to the current near zero interest rates, diminishing the prospects of making a decent return from the business. Now, looking ahead to Christmas, supermarkets have launched a fresh lobbying drive to extend Sunday trading hours ahead of a shopping rush they're warning ministers could put customer safety at risk during the pandemic. Sky News says major grocers, including Sainsbury's and Morrisons, have been urging the government in recent weeks to allow thousands of their stores to open for more than 6 hours on Sundays during December. The move needs primary legislation, with previous efforts to extend Sunday opening times drawing fierce opposition from MPs and retail unions. An executive at one chain said the effort to persuade ministers was more about customers' health and safety. Now let's turn to prices. According to new research, Lidl has been revealed as the UK's cheapest supermarket for everyday groceries since the start of the pandemic. The discounter was the best option for customers on a budget and undercut its nearest supermarket rival Asda by 10.5%, following a comparison of some of Britain's biggest food retailers. The comparison didn't obviously include Aldi. The study by trade magazine The Grocer compared a shopping basket of 33 typical grocery items such as skim milk, flat mushrooms and Braeburn apples at the 6 chains: Lidl, Asda, Tesco, Morrisons, Sainsbury's and Waitrose. It found Lidl was the cheapest among all the chains, with a checkout bill of £37.59, while Waitrose was the most expensive at £55.75. The supermarket, which was 34.9% cheaper than Waitrose, undercut runner-up Asda's price of £41.99 by £4.40. Its 10.5% winning margin was narrower than the 12.9% it achieved in its previous guest slot in January, but marked an improvement on a year ago when it was 8.1% cheaper than Asda. And the others in the list below Asda are Tesco, £44.65 a basket, Morrisons £45.10, and Sainsbury's £45.25, with Waitrose the most expensive at £55.75. Still on Lidl, it looks like it's not planning to enter the fast-growing online grocery channel for the present, after reports that it's dissolved its digital arm and pledged to focus on its bricks-and-mortar stores. According to trade publication The Grocer, an application has been filed at Companies House for the Lidl Digital Logistics subsidiary to be removed from the register. The digital company was set up in 2018 to house its digital logistics assets and explore expanding its online grocery. Now we turn to suppliers. UK-based private equity firm Endless has bought historic bakery firm Hovis. The Gores Group and Premier Foods have both sold their respective 51% and 49% stakes in the 134-year-old brand to Endless for an undisclosed sum. Hovis was put on sale in June by the Gores Group, which paid Premier Foods £30 million in 2014 to take control of the struggling bread firm. Less than 2 weeks after being sold to Italian confectionery giant Ferrero, Foxes says there will be a major overhaul of its premium portfolio of biscuits, which will include, in their words, more sophisticated branding, recipe improvements and new packaging formats. The new Fox's Fabulous identity will appear on its cookies, Viennese, chocolatey and its seasonal biscuits collections. Unilever's launched a new range of pet care products to help offset lower sales of more traditional consumer goods. The company has picked Brazil for its pet products debut. The country is said to have the second largest population of dogs and cats in the world, behind only the United States. Unilever's new brand includes hygiene products for dogs and cans, as well as cleaning products for the homes of pet owners. It's also set up a 24-hour call centre with veterinarians to assist pet owners. Will it be rolled out to other markets? The soon-to-be British-owned company is keeping tight-lipped, but I suspect that the UK won't be too far behind. Now we go down under. Since its launch in 2018, over 300 companies have made the commitment to redesign their on-pack communications to incorporate the Australasian recycling label, known as ARL, to ensure that consumers can understand the true recyclability of all packaging components disposed of in Australia and New Zealand. To date, over 10,000 products now use the ARL on-pack, and the momentum is rising, with businesses signing up to join the Australasian Packaging Recycling Label program every day. These come from a broad range of industries and include early adopters such as Nestlé, Officeworks, Australia Post, Blackmores, Unilever, Coles and Woolworths. A number of companies are ready to go and are waiting for their next product or packaging change. The ARL label communicates to the consumer that the specific packaging component identified is recyclable at curbside. Now, moving to New Zealand, when a supplier wants to introduce a new product on our supermarket shelves, they must first go through a tender process for either supermarket groups, Foodstuffs or the Woolworths New Zealand group. A new Foodstuffs North Island tender process for pasta, oils and noodles is causing great stress for many suppliers who are members of the New Zealand Food and Grocery Council. In fact, some long-term grocery suppliers say they've not seen anything like it before in all their years in the trade. So what's driving this tough stance from both supermarket groups? From the Foodstuffs side, it's thought the aim is to chop the number of brands available to shoppers in New World from up to 10 brands down to 3 to 4 maximum, that's including private label. It's also hard to understand how a tender process making decisions solely on margin fits with Foodstuffs North Island strategy, quotes, to be more customer driven. How does reducing product choices for shoppers equate to being all about the customer, as New World claims to be? Unlike fellow Foodstuffs supermarket Pack and Save, which is a full range, New World is a full range supermarket and scores over Pack and Save in that respect, because the latter is and always has been limited range. If New World moves towards that same strategy, then in my opinion it will be the loser. It works on higher margins than Pack and Save, and if in the end there's little difference between the two, what's the point? I have yet to see less choice and fewer options, please, as a consumer desire or response in any insight survey. In an attempt to stop moves like this by supermarkets, the Food and Grocery Council is supporting a call for a grocery code for New Zealand, like there is one in Australia and one in the UK. Well, that's it for this week. Catch me on my Supermarket Sleuth or checkout pages on Facebook, or on my Supermarket Sleuth channel on YouTube. I'm also on radio in New Zealand at 10:45 every Saturday morning. Either listen in by visiting magic.co.nz and clicking on the talk lozenge at the top of the page, or listen in through my Supermarket Sleuth page later in the weekend. Bye for now.